Hi there, welcome to my financial markets recap for the week. It's John Bannon here from comotech.com. Little update in the system before we get to the news and what happened in the markets this week. We're in a new trade at the end of the week. Nothing happened this week in terms of trading activity apart from that. So nothing really this year. The last trade we made was last week, the previous week. We closed that one and we made a new equity peak, so that's great. And so that was a great outcome. Obviously, the market's continually making new highs over and over, so it's actually been a bit of a challenge to keep up with it from a trader's perspective. But we're certainly over the top, and we're healthily beating the market this year, which is great. But we're going into that very volatile period, so I'm expecting some turbulence over the next couple of months, as per normal seasonality at this time of year. But certainly, looking for some good trades in that time. This is where the system really takes advantage of the big falls when they happen, and something's going to happen. It just doesn't keep going up and up and up all the time, so something's coming. But in the meantime, we'll keep trading as is, keep following the system, and so far so good. So that was system update. What happened in the news this week? Well, the big news this week in terms of the market was the non-farm payrolls report, which was this morning. The report was terrible. They were expecting 720,000 jobs. They ended up with 235,000. So really awful numbers, not what was expected at all. And there you have it. So the market tanked initially at that news, but then realizing that the Fed is probably not going to do anything here, therefore the market, bad news is even good news sometimes when the market's in a bull run. So that's what's happened basically. So they're expecting the Fed not to do anything, not to taper, because the news is so bad, the jobs are so bad, so they'll be looking at that one, and that's why the market seemed to recover the rest of the day. And other news, the deadly hurricane Ida hit shores this week. And it's left 1 million households, and it's unfortunately very tragically taken over 40 lives, and it's left about 1 million households in Louisiana without power. It's really sparked criticisms of the state's electric grid, which was last updated in the 50s and 60s, so it's been around a while. So another reason for the House needs to pass this infrastructure deal for places like that, right? They're obviously needing a lot of help to rebuild that infrastructure that is tiring and couldn't handle this kind of storm. And further news, there was the biggest sort of settlement. It's not a charge to them, but it's the biggest settlement in the history of the IRS, with the most successful hedge fund in history, Renaissance Technologies. They have they've settled for like $7 billion, which is dwarfed. The last time the company got hit with an IRS bill was about $3 billion. I think that was a pharmaceutical company that was seemed to be dodging some taxes, and this is something that Renaissance has been charged with over many years now, and now finally going, not worth fighting anymore. It could be worse, so they're just settling with the IRS for $7 billion. So they were charged with hiding their cash basically, by doing short-term trading but hiding it within a structure of long-term results. So that they were seen to be doing something that was naughty, right, hiding their money. So with some European banks, or one European bank at least. So anyway, that looks like it's going to get settled for $7 billion. So the IRS is getting quite a chunk of change there. And the last thing I've got for you is the energy news. The term leaded gasoline is definitely out now, because I grew up with the term leaded gasoline. Now, some of you younger people probably don't have a clue what that means, but that was what we used to call gasoline. You'd go for leaded. It wasn't leaded or unleaded, and I grew up with that term. It's now no longer being used anywhere in the world. Algeria finally ran out of its last supplies, so it is no longer using it. And that was the last place on earth that was using leaded gasoline. Leaded gasoline goes back to the early 20s when they were using it for something called engine knocking, where it sort of helped the engine from making a lot of noise. But it's now been, obviously, having lead in anything is seen as very bad for health, so it's been taken away from mainstream Western countries for many years now. But Algeria still had some supplies, they used it, that's it. No longer being made, no longer out there. So the term leaded gasoline is now very much in the history books, and it's gone forever. That is it for me. It is the weekend. It's the long weekend. Happy Labour Day, everyone. Have a great long weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Bye bye.